My name is Ali Lee Dudley. I'm Chief Executive of 4Youth, a voluntary sector organisation supporting youth work across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. I'm going to talk today a little bit about how the voluntary sector can utilise the DBS vetting and barring service and make best use of the opportunities it presents to recruit safely. Do need to remember though that there's no such thing as a 100% fail-safe recruitment process that's going to guarantee that you only recruit people who are 100% safe and suitable for your organisation and the work you do with children and young people. Really, it's about adopting a risk management approach and exploring all of the steps that we can use to make it as unlikely as possible that someone who is unsafe or unsuitable could get a role working with children and young people. And one of the ways that we can do this is with a DBS check, a disclosure and barring service check. But it's not the only way, and the check is never going to come back and tell us that somebody definitely can or definitely can't work with our age group. We need to think both about whether someone is safe and whether somebody is suitable, and these aren't necessarily the same thing. Although there have been lots of changes, and this can seem a little bit daunting, these changes also bring us an opportunity, and I think this is a real opportunity for us to look at our whole recruitment process and think about how do we put the right steps in place to show that we value the safety and the welfare of the young people and the children we work with, and how do we promote their safety and well-being. So although it can seem a bit daunting, I think we should see it as a challenge and something that we can all benefit from. And I think it's also important to think about that these principles are going to apply whether we're talking about our paid staff or our volunteer staff who work with children and young people. For us as an organisation and for many other organisations, it's an opportunity to set the tone. We want to encourage all applicants for roles to be open and honest with us, and I think that means that we have to be open and honest with them. And that means we need to be prepared to answer questions like what kind of check is going to be required, what level of check is going to be required, why do we need those checks, what will we do if we get a check back and it's positive, so there's information about a caution or a conviction. And we need to give applicants every opportunity to tell us if they think there's a reason why they're not safe or not suitable to work with young people or with children, and to let them know what we'll do with that information. Because a conviction or caution or something else that's raised as concern doesn't necessarily mean somebody can't work with children or young people, but this fear can put people off. I like to think of it as being a bit like a jigsaw. So there's lots of different pieces of an applicant for a volunteer or a paid role, and we need to build a picture of them so we can understand as much about them as possible. But we also need to have a really clear picture about what they're coming in to do. What do we need somebody to do? Have we given them a job description or a role outline so they understand our requirement of them? What kind of person are we looking for? Have we got a person specification, a set of competencies and abilities, some required skills and knowledge? And how are we going to find those things out through the application process? These are really important steps in finding out if someone is safe and suitable, and we use them alongside a DBS check. So we want to find out how well they match our requirements. What else can we do? Well, we can check references, we can check who they are, make sure that their ID matches who they tell us they are. And we can look at proof of their level of qualification. And we look at all of these together, we build all these pieces into our jigsaw that gives us a picture of the applicant. We need to really think about the role so we know that we're requesting the right level of check. And there's lots of help available to the voluntary and community sector to get this right. There's the DBS themselves, whose website gives lots of detailed information, and they have a helpline. But there are also lots of support organisations within the voluntary community sector that you can go and talk to. We also need to think about, is anyone better than the wrong one? So sometimes we're faced with a position of having a role to fill, and maybe there's only one person, or we try to make do. Is this the right decision for the young people that we work with? Is this the way that we want to show that we value them and we're committed to keeping them safe and promoting their well-being? So all of those pieces come together to make the recruitment jigsaw, but it doesn't just stop at recruitment. There's lots of things that happen after that, including induction, supervision, management, policies and procedures, risk assessments. All of these together help us create safe organisation for children and young people. We can't make any environment 100% safe, but as organisations we need to take on the challenge of making them safe enough and making the levels of risk acceptable to us, to the young people and to their families. Within your community you probably have a youth or children and young people's infrastructure support service or organisation, a bit like ourselves. You've probably also got a council for voluntary services, often known as a CVS. They're a really good source of support and information, so you don't have to go through all of these decisions on your own and struggle with them on your own. There's also a huge network of other voluntary organisations, and they all face the same challenges. And I think we can really benefit and learn from each other by being open and sharing our experiences. How have we recruited? Did we do it the best way? Have other people got suggestions and ideas? It's not to try and catch each other out and find out who got it wrong, but it's about us trying to do things better as an organisation. And of course there's national services that we can talk to as well. So I've mentioned talking directly to the Disclosure and Barring Service. There's lots of other charity and voluntary sector organisations. There's resources like Our Decision, which has been put together by a number of different voluntary sector organisations. Sometimes we do need to go and talk to the specialist. Sometimes we have to talk, for instance, to our local authority designated officer, often called the LADO. This could be, for instance, when a child protection issue has arisen with a member of staff or potentially arisen with a member of staff. Or sometimes we might want to talk to the police or social services because we need to disclose a piece of information. This doesn't change, and this doesn't change with the DBS process. It's about fitting all of the pieces together and making our commitment to young people.